welcome back to another session of Be Kinetic. If you remember in the beginning, I explained that the word kinetic is such a potent word. It's got so much meaning to it about moving forward. It's this energy of taking hold of that which we want. And I just want to spend a couple of moments around the concept of, if we want to have the success we're looking for, is we need to be big people. And I must be honest, this is one of the personal challenges, is that so often in life is little things annoy us. They frustrate us. The reality is that we only have so much energy in a day. And when we spend time on little things, on little annoyances, it's tapping energy that we could be using in a far more potent way. Now, this was about 20 years ago. I was personally frustrated with my leadership capacity, and I really wanted to grow, and I was looking for some technique or some opportunity to learn and grow in my experience. And I found a college in Seattle, Washington, and it was just pure fortune that the dean of that college happened to be speaking at a conference in South Africa. So I made sure that I attended the conference, and at one of the breaks I wanted to speak to him about how could I enroll and be part of their year's training. And obviously, because of his prominence, there was a lot of people chatting to him, and there was a bit of an entourage from the host to make sure that he wasn't bombarded by people. And I remember it was quite an issue to get his attention. And I remember sneaking through the people and the organizers of the event, and I managed to get hold of him and get his attention, and I expressed my eagerness to come to his university. And instead of which I expected, he was going to go, not a problem, and kind of share his desire for me to be there, he looked at me in a blank face and just simply said, "Phone Rocky," turned around and walked away. I was livid. I've gone through all of this effort to be at the conference. I've gone through all of this effort to sneak through all these people to get your attention, and you just had the kind of blankness to go, "Phone Rocky," and walk away. I didn't even know who Rocky was. And there was something of that moment. Am I going to allow that person's response, which I expected more? I expected him to be far more magnanimous, far more helpful. Was I going to allow him or his response to stop the goal that I wanted? And I remember having to go through the emotions of being such a small person. And really, I was being a small person. I was actually just being pathetic, because to find Rocky was very easy. I just had to go on the website. I just had to go to the contacts and find Rocky, and it was really easy. But in that moment, I had such small thinking. I was so limited in that moment that I got annoyed for something so pathetic. And I wonder how many times as we cut ourselves off, is we whip ourselves and go, well, if you're not going to help me, I'm not going to pursue that. And imagine if that was my attitude. Imagine if I allowed that moment where he did not meet my expectation. If I allowed the smallness in my own thinking to determine my attitude, my behavior, and I never went to that college, I most probably wouldn't be here today. My leadership capacity would never have grown. And so there's something of, I want to encourage you as I'm also growing in this dynamic of, let us be big people where we don't allow the small things of life to rob us of our energy. And I can't believe that I can be so pathetic, as I become so frustrated and so annoyed when a taxi driver pulls out in front of me. Wouldn't it be so much more magnanimous on my behalf, is when, whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't make a difference, when I see they want to come in, is actually just give them the gap. I mean, how much time, how much inconvenience do I really experience? And I go, this is what it means to be a big person, is when we don't allow other people's reaction. Again, it's not meaning that what they're doing is right, but it determines who we are. And we go, no, I am bigger than that. It was just yesterday that I was reading a story about a couple of gentlemen going camping, and they were sitting around a fire, and the one noticed that there was a snake literally getting burnt. And so he reached out, and as he was reaching out to get the snake out of the fire, his friend said, "Watch out, the snake is going to bite you." But he didn't want the snake to die, so he reached out and he got the snake out of the fire, and Bob, the snake, bit him. So obviously in the shock of being bitten, he dropped the snake. But unfortunately, he dropped it back in the fire. So he reached down again, and to which his friend in dismay said, "Watch out, the snake will bite you." But but he reached down, grabbed the snake, took him out of the fire, and the snake bit him again. Now, obviously, that's pretty stupid, so I'm not endorsing picking snakes out of the fire, but I love his response. Is he said, irrespective of the snake's nature to bite me, my nature is to help out. Now, again, I want to stress, don't pick up snakes out of fires. Go get a glove or, a stick or help it. But again, it's his attitude that when he sees a need, he's going to help out. I so love his mindset, his attitude, that irrespective of what happens to him, is his nature, his mindset is, I want to help out. And so when a taxi driver pulls out in front of me, that's a reflection of him. My response is a reflection of me. And so when I vip myself and I start giving hand signals and I start to swear at him, what's that saying? That's a reflection of who I am. And so it takes a lot of courage to be this big person that when things don't go our way, when it doesn't happen the way in which we would like to, we go, I'm bigger than that. I'm not going to allow that situation or that person to rob me of my nature, of my bigness, for a lack of a better word. So I really want to maybe stir you, encourage you to look at how big a person you are, but maybe just two thoughts, slightly a little different, but still within this mindset is, are we willing to admit mistakes? So it's not only do we allow other people's mistakes not to bother us, but when we mess up, are we willing to tell the people and go, you know what, I blew that. That wasn't right. And so it takes something of a person who's got a big spirit, this big person mindset, is when they do make a mistake, is to call the people that were involved and go, I blew it. Would you please forgive me? The second one has to be with this, and I suppose it incorporates this, is to have this resilience about who we are. And I think the best example is if you take one of those bouncing balls and you throw it in a pool, you can hold it down for 1 minute, an hour, 5 hours, but as soon as you let go, it's going to bump up again. And life is difficult and situations are tough, and we do deal with challenging people. So being a big person is not saying these don't exist. But what it's saying is that when these moments, these people, these situations try to push us down, as soon as they let go, guess what? We're going to pop up, because our nature, our attitude, our mindset is we are big people. So something to think about, something to ponder on, something to maybe be challenged about as we are kinetic, as we're going forward to taking hold of our goals. Looking forward to chatting with you next week. All the best.